British Empire and you had land and you were you definitely had skin in the game if you were one of the signatories of the U.S. Constitution, not to say the Declaration of Independence. What was it? Was it Benjamin Franklin says we all better hang together or we're going to certainly hang apart? Like you were going to die. There was a chance that you were going to, most of them did. A good portion of them, I believe, a good portion of them did actually die as a result of putting their name on that thing. Well, they were in a democracy. They had money and they had land and they probably, some of them owned slaves. I'm sure of that. Yeah, that was horrible at the time. Got it, understood. But you know what? They still put their asses on the line and they still had skin in the game to the point where the British Empire comes over and they start cracking skulls. And I think people don't understand that the formation of the United States was not like a foregone conclusion during the War of Independence. They didn't know. They were fighting for their lives, man. They were fighting for their, for the land that they had. Now, Britain was outmatched because it was they couldn't supply. It was the supply chain across the ocean was something they couldn't do at the time. It was very difficult to do. So, and the U.S. had all the resources. So, but it was never the outcome of the war was never certain. But the people who were fighting and the people who were the moneyed landowners and the people who were the people who got to vote. They had skin in the game and they put that skin in the game when it hit the fan. Also, same thing happened later on, Civil War. Same thing happened later on. I mean, it's like, yeah, I think the idea of women's voting privileges are tied to signing. It would be great if they were. I'm of the opinion, like people have asked me before, Rollo, do you think we should repeal the 19th? And they even talked about this. People want to say that that's all the manosphere is about right now. The gentle manosphere think that ladies deserve a good shake and they need to have keep their rights. But I'll tell you, man, I have seen so many videos criticize. They all came in right after the Inside the Manosphere, of course. Everybody's suddenly an expert on the manosphere. But one of the things they were just shaking in their boots over is that these guys want to repeal and they want to take away women's rights. It's never going to happen. Stop it. I will say this. I said it then. I will say this now. I've never been one of these, repeal the 19th guys because it's untenable. But the genie is out of the bottle. You're not putting the toothpaste back in the tube. It is what it is. It's right there. You know why? Because more men will fight you on it than women will fight you on it because they want pussy. They're more sneaky fuckers and more, male feminists will fight you and they will win because people don't want that. What gets me is what's funny is like they have had, I had this conversation with Pat Campbell on several occasions. I think it was in 2017 or 2018. They were actually, it was on a bill once to make selective services mandatory for females, for women as well. Never made it. Got pulled out of the bill. Why was that? Because there was such an uproar amongst conservatives that they said, "Well, are we such pussies? Are we such manginas that we need women to go fight our battles for us? Boy, men have really fallen off. Boy, these lost boys, this generation is just, I can't believe now we need women to fight for us, right? Because, men don't want to do it." No, men were still being conscripted. They were still had to sign up. They couldn't be citizens unless they did. That's not what selective service, the point of selective services, like from a gender perspective, the point of selective services or the argument isn't about whether you're going to war or not. It's whether you have citizenship or not. It's whether you have to pay a $250,000 fine for avoiding it. It's if women can hold public office. They don't have to worry about $250,000 fine. They don't have to worry about their voting rights. They don't have to worry, in some states, they don't have to worry about their driver's license because they didn't sign up for selective services. That's what it's about. But everybody wants to make it about, well, men are going to war. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's citizenship. It's the rights of the citizen. What do you get to do because you have signed up for this thing called selective services exclusively because you're male? It's not about the draft, although potentially it's about death for men, right? So you can argue that side, but it's not about, well, men make a big deal out of that because, blah, blah, blah. And you're not going to war. Guys will resist. No, it doesn't. The point isn't about, when it comes to the gender dynamics, it's not about the war. It's that men are denied certain rights and certain privileges in this country because they didn't sign up for that, and women are exempt from that. That's the difference. Women don't have to be compulsion. Men have the compulsion, women do not. When it comes to motherhood, women can choose to be mothers or not. It's funny. Imagine this, Andrew Wilson and Constantine. Imagine this, if you will. When we tell men that they have to be drafted or they have to go to war, we call that selective services, right? If there was, imagine there was equal and opposite, right? Imagine there was a rule or a law that said selective mothering, right? Only it's not selective mothering. It was women have to are compelled to have children. It's not about voting. You're just compelled to do it no matter what. You have to have kids. Yes, you have to. If you want to live in this country, you're going to get laid, you're going to get pregnant, and you're going to have a kid. That's it. You have to. Well, what if, and it might not even be somebody you want, because men certainly probably don't want to go to fight the war. People avoided the draft. People avoided selective services. You know what we call that? When we compel women to motherhood, we call that the fictional world of Gilead in The Handmaid's Tale. That's what that is. Women bristle at that. My God, you would force me to have a child, not of my choosing, blah, blah, blah. We call that is like a human rights violation. But we don't say the same thing about selective services. We don't call that a human rights violation. That's the difference. That is why Constantine will always lose this argument and Andrew Wilson will always win this argument. It's not about going to war or anything like that. It's about citizenship. It's about rights and privileges of being a woman or being a man. And I'm glad Andrew brought up the Ukraine and the Russia thing too, because like he was right. He's right. They were keeping guys as old as 60 in the Ukraine because they needed people. They need bodies, man. That's all they need is bodies. And as long as the body had a penis, that's all they cared about. Don't have to worry about that. You will never win. You will die on that hill, Constantine.
Well, not everything has to look exactly symmetrical, but your argument initially was, where's a privilege that men enjoy and women don't? Well, I would argue in a functioning society where where we want to reproduce, women end up with the burden of childbearing and child rearing in a way that men don't. I think it's a fairly simple and obvious argument, right?
And yet they're privileged when it comes to custody and divorces. They're privileged when it comes to child support. They're privileged when it comes to alimony. They're privileged when it comes to all of these things. They have every advantage when it comes to having the child. And so it's like,
It's
no.
a different argument. Now, what I'm saying is the burden of bearing the child is uniquely with women in the same way that the burden of fighting in war is uniquely with men.
True, but one is compulsory and the other is choice.
So it's an ontological argument. The nature of woman is to have children, nature of men is to go to war.
Right, and so...
Then the woman needs to be fulfilling her nature then, right?
Well, my woman is, and so is yours,
yes,
right?
But
So I would insist for my woman to have the right to vote on that basis, that she's contributing, frankly, at this point, way more than I am.
Drafting's collective, right?
Yeah.
So then the duty's collective?
Yeah.
Then why isn't childbirth?
Gotcha, bitch.
Gotcha, bitch.
Oh my goodness. All right, that's enough of that. That's towards the end of the clip anyways. That was it. That puts the period on the end of the sentence. You don't win that. He's only trying, again, women are wonderful, right? It's the women are wonderful effect. They can do no wrong. So we've got to find, he has to find some way to turn the bad red pill guy, such as he is, into like give him his comeuppance. And you don't do that. Well, certainly not with Andrew, but you don't do that when it comes down to